And I see a lot of young men thinking that the woman is going to complete him, right? Like it's kind of like that Jerry Maguire like lied to us all. It's like it's not a woman's job, in my opinion, to complete the man. I think a man needs to complete first, and then he brings a woman into his world. What are your thoughts and takes on kind of like guys maybe not being ready to pursue a relationship? Like where should a guy be at in life before trying to go out and attract a woman?
Yeah, so here's the thing, is like I believe you have to fall down a couple of times because in mistakes are lessons, right? So like I had to cheat on a boyfriend in my 20s to learn that cheating is not for me, you know what I mean? I had to do some like we have to embrace our mistakes, quote unquote. People call them mistakes. I always say quote unquote because in mistakes are lessons, and as long as you don't fall if and here's where it gets to your question, is if you don't show up for the lessons, the same mistakes will happen, right? So what I love about my work is I just ever since I was young, always had this like epiphany or like heart to heart connection for men. Like I saw a lot of traumas growing up. Like my father wasn't loved in his childhood at all. He had children to replace that love and now has none of his children in his life because he's highly narcissistic and manipulative. So it's really hard for us sisters to be in his life. So I have three sisters and a brother and we don't even talk to him. And so I actually help my sisters with this and kind of we've already tried to have a relationship and the reason why I'm so soulful on purpose, and I think what separates me because so a lot of people will be like, "Well, she's a woman, she doesn't get it." Well, I actually do because I'm not biased because I am a woman, and also too, there's a different type of soul connection that I have for men to do well in relationship and life because it's my purpose. It's in my soul. Like this is my God purpose, what God put me on here to do and speak from a woman's voice, right? And so, with that said, men that I wouldn't say shouldn't date, but men that need to show up better in dating is the ones that continue to not face and embrace their emotional challenges, right? Because I don't want men to think like, "Oh, you need to show your emotions." But no, like I definitely know that part of showing your emotions is also a reward for someone else you trust. It's not for everybody. And so part of this is getting connected to finding out who you are. What are you passionate about? What do you want from life? How do you want to feel in a relationship? What are the mistakes that you've gone through already in your life? And how did you overcome them? And what cycles and patterns do you not want to repeat? When you start having a sense of awareness, like that mirror effect, then I feel like you can be the catalyst for your own growth at times and choose better in your relationships. But when you are suffering and you're not being a catalyst and you're not looking in the mirror and saying, "What do I need to fix?" but instead looking at someone else to fix you and looking at like pornography as, okay, this is my cure for all, or also dating can become an addiction as well. Love is also a self as addiction, just as much as drugs and pornography, right? And so you have to have a level of awareness first to even get anywhere to bypass that stuff. And a level of awareness is by putting that mirror back to you and taking responsibility because no matter what, you're never the victim in life. Like you really aren't, unless obviously there's other things that happen, but, like, I love that you're faith-based, but I'm a really big believer that God doesn't put a lesson in front of us that we can't handle, right? And, I was in a very abusive relationship. I was sexually abused growing up. Like, I had every type of abuse in my life to not love men. And now look what I do for a freaking living. Like, I almost lost my life to an abusive relationship, right? So, like, I look at that as a blessing, and I get chills every time I talk about it because I know God put that in my presence because now I've affected thousands, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of men to do better.
Yeah, I want to get back to the dating addiction thing here in a minute and just see where that can potentially show up in somebody's life. But I want to put a closure on this question. I agree. We need to fail. We need to go out, try, test, stumble, pick ourselves back up. But is there an ever a point in a man's life where he is not ready?
For sure, for sure. And that's when he's seeing that he feels on edge all the time or empty when he's dating, right? Where he notices that he's getting in bad relationships, gaslighting, and the women are manipulative. He's also people pleasing. He's trying to attract women because he has more control when they need saving, right? So a man knows when he's doing like he's not in the right place. You're on edge, you have those butterflies, the nervous flies feeling. You're always constantly thinking about this girl. When is she going to call me? It becomes obsessive. That means that we're dating to cope. We're in loving relationships to cope with something we have not put the mirror on ourselves.